Nigeria's inflation rate jumped to 25.80% in August 2023, showing 1.72 percentage points higher than 24.08% recorded in the previous month of July. The National Bureau of Statistics made this known in its Consumer Price Index report for August 2023. Africa's largest economy is grappling with rising prices ahead of a central bank interest rate decision later this month. Now joining me to discuss the appointment of the new CBN governor as well as the rise in inflation is Dr. Samson Simon, economic analyst, and Matthew Bukka, a senior advocate of Nigeria, to touch on the legality of Cardoso's nomination. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, let me begin with you, Matthew Bukka.
Thank you for having us.
What are the constitutional and legal requirements for the nomination and appointment of a central bank governor in Nigeria? And do you think Dr. Olayemi Cardoso meets these requirements?
Well, I think he's eminently qualified to occupy the position, looking at his track record and his vast experience in the financial sector and his understanding of financial matters. I think his qualification is not an issue at all. As a person, I want to commend the president for looking towards his direction at a time in which we need stability in the economy, and also desire to have a clear understanding of the financial trajectory of this administration.
Okay. Let me get back to you, Dr. Samson. Now, could you provide insights into potential strategies or policies that the new CBN governor might implement to address the issue of rising inflation and also stabilize the economy?
Yes, the Central Bank of Nigeria's home mandate, not only for Central Bank of Nigeria, any central bank in the world is established primarily stability. And we all know, the inflation numbers just came out yesterday from MBS. Inflation is climbing, and that's not really good for cost of living. We're actually having a cost of living crisis. Prices are unrelenting and rising. So the primary essence of the central bank should be the heart and the center of everything this current crop of leadership must pursue. Unlike the one that is being cleaned out by the president, where development financing took center stage. Price stability is key, and price stability is the function of money supply. The great monetary economist Milton Friedman said, inflation always and everywhere is a monetary phenomenon. Our money supply has completely gone off the rails, particularly when you consider monetary financing. Ways and means, the central bank prints money without recourse to the rule establishing itself. These current leaders must ensure that they do the right things. They should be guided by principles. They should be lawful. All these things, if they are done, they will go a long way in ensuring that price stability is maintained and the Nigerian economy will all be better for it.
All right, let me come back to you, Matthew. Now, are there any potential conflicts of interest or even legal impediments that could challenge the legality of Dr. Cardoso's nomination, such as his financial interests or even his affiliations?
Well, there is not that I know, that I'm aware of. I think that the only issue of concern that anyone would have at this particular point is to look at the fact that this appointment is coming at a time when the issue of Emefiele is still hanging in the balance as to the issue of whether he has been suspended or he has ceased to hold office. For me, I think that is a discussion that should be in the front burner at this time. As to the qualification of the man, as to whether or not he has any conflict of interest in holding this office, I'm not aware of any. I've just mentioned to you what I think are the issues that need some form of clarification and discussion, which is still the existence and the lingering issue around Mr. Gordon Emefiele.
All right, thank you, Matthew, for your insight. Now let's finally...
Section 10 and
okay.
of the CBN Act.
All right, thank you so much, Matthew, for your insight. Let's finally go back to Dr. Samson here. Now, relating to the rise in inflation, are there any potential risks or even concerns associated with the leadership at the CBN when it comes to managing inflation and also maintaining economic stability?
Well, the president, during his inauguration, said he will ensure that there will be a thorough house cleaning at the Central Bank of Nigeria. I agree with him. The Central Bank should remain focused, not only focused, it should be laser focused on its core mission of price stability. And if they have the support of the president, if they stick to the rules, I think that can largely be done. One way they are going to, anyway, the current crop of leadership has to be approved by the Senate. They have to go through the Senate screening. But the Central Bank is supposed to meet. They meet almost bi-monthly to decide on interest rates. And one of the ways of tackling inflation is by hiking interest rates. So with the inflation numbers going up and up, the most likely scenario is that they are going to hike interest rates. But we have this concern too in Nigeria because we feel our inflation, the headline inflation, is mainly driven by food inflation. And we know the reason for our food inflation. Insecurity is one of it. Farmers can hardly go back to the farms because of insecurity, particularly in the food belt of this country. That is not within the purview of the Central Bank of Nigeria. That's within the purview of the president to ensure that there's security in the land. And I think the Central Bank should not continue with the trajectory it is meeting on ground of trying to do things outside its own purview. They should stick to what is expected of them, and they should not bury their head in the sand. Monetary financing, just printing money, pumping it to the government, is exacerbating inflation. That's one reason why inflation is this high. So if you are hiking rates and you keep printing money and giving it to the federal government or to the state government, you are just undermining yourself. It's counterintuitive. And another reason is exchange rate. The exchange rate has not really been stable. The Naira keeps depreciating. And one of the reasons why the Naira depreciates is because people have lost confidence in the Naira. The demand for dollar is not strictly for transaction. Some people buy it to hedge losses. Because if you consider the value of the Naira a year ago, what the purchasing power of the Naira and now, there's a huge difference. It has depreciated, if not completely collapsed. Meanwhile, the dollar is on a tear. So people feel safe. The dollar is a kind of safe haven. So demand for dollar will continue to be higher, while people jettison the Naira. So that's a huge problem. The new crop of leaders must ensure that confidence in the Naira is being built up and not being turned down.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Samson. Now, let's go back to you, Matthew. Can you give us your final thoughts on Dr. Cardoso's appointment?
Well, I think that everything now depends on the position the National Assembly will take. Now, if you recall, if you look at Section 10, Section 11, and 12 of the CBN Act, the President will propose a nomination and the National Assembly, the Senate would approve or disapprove. Now, the removal of the Governor of Central Bank must also be approved by 2/3 of the Senate. So that appointment now is in the hands of the Senate. If the Senate goes ahead to approve the appointment of Mr. Cardoso, that means that effectively brings an end to the tenure of Mr. Emefiele. Because the same Senate has the power to approve, the same Senate also has the power, the Senate has the power to approve appointment and also has the power to approve removal. So once the Senate now approves the appointment of Mr. Cardoso, that means effectively that the tenure of Mr. Emefiele has effectively come to an end.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us at this time to share your thoughts and views on the topic of discussion.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you.